I'm a simple soul. You know, when I went to school thousands of years ago, they taught us things like reading and writing and history and arithmetic. Not much of that, actually. But look, school was lovely. You went there to learn, and it's been like that for most time. And it is still like that generally in schools in Canada. We have 4 kids. There's only 1 left in school, but they, of course, they have, you know, the rainbow flag stuff and the gay stuff. Most of the kids just say, oh, please, please, you know, I mean, they're just not very interested. But so I'm not blaming frontline teachers here. School board, bureaucrats, union heavies, activists are pushing an agenda on kids. And some people will say, oh, no, you're overreacting. Just teach. Teacher, just teach the basic stuff. You're not doing that well at that. And leave the social engineering to, well, the really bad people in society, I suppose. Lou Iacobelli from, now, Parental Rights in Education Defence Fund. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The acronym being PREDF?
Yes, it is. kind of hard to say.
It is a bit. Couldn't you thought of an easier one than that?
We had to get the whole thing in.
I suppose so. Now, we're going to see some pictures. We're going to show what this is all about, this current campaign. And we should emphasize this is the current campaign. This goes on and on and on. This is Love Has No Gender. Why this is in schools, I don't know. And there are pictures. And what I find quite interesting is that there's various hearts. There's about a dozen of them, probably 20. The only hearts you can really make out that are completely self-contained on their own are of 2 men together and 2 women together. But of all the other hearts, there's all sorts of people. There's 3 people. That's a polygamous marriage. Mm-hmm. What this is saying is polygamy is okay?
Well, Michael, I think that if we go back just a little bit, when the government proposed the equity in education,
let's deal with this first.
Inclusive education, what I want to get to is that this is part of the problem that comes up when you start to drive the educational system from the point of view of political correctness, and you have an agenda, and the agenda now is coming to the classrooms. And this is an example. This poster campaign, in a sense, when you look at the stick figures, is saying, why not have a polygamy? Because if you can have any arrangement, any new family structure, which is part of the equity policy, the family can be redefined, then polygamy would be okay in this.
To make sure, if a child has two fathers or 2 mothers, you have to make sure that child is not bullied and feels happy, and that's all fair enough and so on, but we know this isn't about that. Let me quote from the school board. First, the board does not support polygamy, Ryan Bird said. The images in question were meant to support an individual's right to choose whom they love, regardless of gender. For example, the reason for depicting 2 women and 1 man was meant to show that a person can be attracted to more than one gender. But I don't think that is what it's about. I mean, they have man and woman, man and man. They're showing all the variations here. This is for children. Some of these kids are leaving the school, they can barely read and write, and they're being told. But it goes beyond that. It also shows boys dressed as girls and girls dressed as boys. I'm against cliches here. You have to play with a train, son, and little girl, you have to do ballet dancing. And although there was a survey, I don't know if you know about this, but with a child, they gave a girl a train. They made her play with the train. They couldn't find the train. They looked under the bed. They found the train wrapped in blankets. She was using it as a doll. But, okay, those stereotypes can be a bit aching. But to say it's fine for a little boy to dress as a girl in high heels and so on, no, that's dysfunctional. That could lead to problems later on in life.
I think it's a form of, as a retired teacher, I worked in the system for 33 years. It's psychological abuse.
Yeah.
Kids, look, adults are having problems looking at that poster with the hearts, with all those stick figures, and saying, does this condone polygamy? And we're having difficulties interpreting it. We're adults. We're teachers, we're professionals, we're journalists. Now imagine young kids when those posters go up, and there are other images that we're not showing in that, when the image of the girl dressed as a doctor,
what's wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But the idea being that they want in the image themselves. If you look at them all,
I think we have to be very careful here, because you see, that I absolutely approve of. The little girl can be a doctor, she can be whatever she wants to be. That's not the issue. The issue is they're saying a little girl can be a little boy. That's different.
By association, if you look at the other pictures, in this program that they have, this poster campaign, then they have the girl dressed as a boy, and the boy playing with so-called the stereotypical with toys.
Of course, they're trying to confuse us.
So in other words, I'm all in favor of, you know, a girl becoming a doctor, becoming whoever they want to become professionally. But what I'm getting at is that this confuses young people.
Exactly. Now, of all these hearts that are here, now there are several with 3 people. I'm just looking at this. There's one with a woman with a guy in a wheelchair, which is, you know, whatever. But I mean, seriously, there are so many outside. I'm trying to find the man and woman. They are there, but they're rather hidden. It's you know, male, female. Oh, please, that's very square. I mean, that's somewhere hidden at the back. There's obviously an agenda. Are you surprised by this?
Not at all. In fact, there's a resource out right now called Both/And, put out by Lee Hicks. She's a trans activist. She's
a trans activist?
Activist, yes.
Against trans
Well,
facts.
what they've done is, if you look at, they've really...
what is this? Tell me what this is.
Well, someone who says, yes, she works in the school board.
Okay,
there's
so
a video called Both/And, and in this video, you have this cartoon character, and the cartoon character is experimenting. He's depicted as a boy, but is experimenting with the possibility that he's actually inhabiting the wrong body.
Let me ask you this, as someone who taught for 33 years. Teachers are complaining about lack of money. Classroom, we don't have air conditioning. Our wages are being rolled back very slightly. We're going to stop performing extracurricular activity. Where does the money come from to do all this crap? The DVDs, the audio, promoting boys being girls. I mean, again, virtually all the kids there think this is a waste of time if they ever see it. Where does the money come from?
The money comes from taxpayers, and it's being misused. And in my opinion, it's totally misused. And that's why people like Steve Terlucas that you had on this program,
who's that?
In the Hamilton
the guy who's suing,
who's suing the board where his wife teaches, simply because he saw this kind of nonsense happening, this misguided curriculum. This is not curriculum. These are not subjects. This is a political agenda. And just to have his parental rights, to defend his parental rights, he came to us after struggling with the board for 2 years simply to say, look, I don't want the family redefined.
Well, all he wanted was to be told when these classes, if and when they were going to be taught, so he could make the decision as a parent whether his child should attend or not. In a patronizing, contemptuous way, he was told, we know better for your children than you do. And again, it's not about, I know how to teach math better. And even there, they probably wouldn't do that. We know how to teach sexuality and humanity and being and personhood better than you do. And what staggers me, though, is not that this happens, because we know that these very confused people are around. It's that the normal, genuine, real people in the school board and so on don't say to them, shut up, go away, we don't want you. Why doesn't anyone have the courage to do that?
Well, I think the leadership in this province, when you look at education, directors of education who bought into this has been a snowballing effect.
It's not just the province, it's nationally.
Well, it's at the UN, it's all over over the world. And it's an agenda, unless people, as you say, stand up and say, we've had enough of it. Right. This is why we stepped up as the Parental Rights in Education, the fund, to defend, to help this parent.
You're right, it's at the UN. Actually, I had on very good information that Mr. Ahmadinejad is, in fact, a 7-year-old girl. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.